Hey everyone, I'm Joseph, your Web3 instructor, and in this Moralis tutorial, we're going to build an automatic Web3 wallet tracker using Moralis and Firebase for authenticating, creating streams, and storing the streams of each transaction. Moralis Streams gives us the opportunity to listen to any blockchain event happening on an EVM chain. We're going to listen to the transactions. In a previous video where we built a Firebase Web3 wallet tracker, we used the Moralis dashboard to set up a stream and listen to it for a specific wallet address. This time we're gonna do that programmatically in our code, which means we can automate the process of setting up a stream, and that means that we can do that for each and every user. Now, how will that look like? Let me show you. We can actually start in the Moralis dashboard, and inside streams you can see that I haven't set up any stream at all. And the same goes in the Firebase database. I haven't set up a database yet. That will all happen automatically. So let's go back to our application and sign in with MetaMask. So once we sign in, automatically, because we haven't had a stream before for this wallet, we get all the transactions that this wallet has done before. In this case, 4 transactions. But at the same time, we're setting up a stream in Moralis dashboard and we start listening to it in Firebase. So let's actually see that right here. If I update, we can see that the stream is up and running. And once we do the first transaction, we're gonna see that inside Firebase as well. So let me do one from account 1 to account 2, 0.5 Goerli ETH. So we could see it as it happened right here. It popped up, which means that we will see it inside Firebase as well. Because this is the first transaction in this new stream, we need to refresh this page because it is the first one, and we can see it right here. And this specific transaction, which was 0.5 Goerli ETH. Now, from now on, we won't need to update or refresh this page. Every transaction will be shown in here, and we will actually see each and every new transaction in here as well, popping up as they happen. So this is pretty cool. Let me remove my face and show you how we can build this. All right, I hope you are excited. I have signed out of my MetaMask. I have removed the stream we created earlier and also the database inside Firestore. So I want to refer back to this documentation, the Firebase Node.js one, because I have downloaded the demo provided in the bottom right here. It's written in TypeScript. I've rewritten it in JS, and I will post the link to that GitHub repo below this video, so you can have that and use that as a reference. But if anything happens, I followed this code right here, and this is a great guide to come back to if there's any errors. Besides that, you can come to Streams API and getting started and then using Node.js SDK. This will show you how you can programmatically set up a Moralis stream instead of doing that through the dashboard. And this is the exact way we did it. I'm gonna show you my code as well so you can see how that looks like. Okay, let's go into Firebase and add our project. I've called mine Automated Web3 Wallet Tracker. Once you have created yours, go into that one, and the first thing I want you to do is to upgrade from a Spark plan to a Blaze plan. You can do it right here. Click modify and upgrade into your Blaze plan, because we're going to use the Secret Manager API, which requires us to have this plan. With initial testing, you won't have to pay anything, but if your app gets lots of traction, you'd probably want to track your usage so you don't have any surprise costs. Once you've done that, let's go into our terminal and create our folder. I will call mine Wallet Tracker. Let's cd into that one and run npm install -g Firebase tools. Now, if you have already done this, as I have, you don't need to run this. So I'm gonna remove it But if you haven't, make sure you install that globally. And then we can run Firebase login. And this will prompt up the browser for us to log into our Firebase account. I'm already logged in as Joseph at moralis.io, so it doesn't pop anything up. Then we want to initialize our project. So let's run Firebase init, and we're gonna use hosting. You want to use this if you want to host your website, basically. Choose use an existing project. Mine is called Automated Web3 Tracker. You're gonna see yours and choose that one. Yes, we can use an experimental web framework. We're gonna call this for Frontend, and it's gonna be Next.js JavaScript. No, we don't need to build and deploy with GitHub automatically. Now that we have initialized our Firebase project, we can see that we have created a firebase.json file right here. And the next thing we want to do is to install Moralis Stream extension for Firebase. And we can do that by running Firebase ext install moralis/moralis-streams. So this might take a few minutes or a few seconds at least. And during this time, if you don't have a Moralis account, because we're gonna need our API key, you need to create your free account. So go to moralis.io to get your free API key, because we're gonna use it in this exact moment. So first of all, let's continue by typing yes, Iowa US Central. We're gonna use Google Cloud Secret Manager. And then here's where we need to add our API key. So as I said, go to your Moralis dashboard if you have already an account. If not, go to moralis.io, create your free account and log in. Then go to Web3 APIs to copy your API key. Back to the terminal, paste that in, hit enter, and then just wait until this is done. This didn't take much of a time. Some of you may have faced an error, and that's because our project isn't initialized with the Secret Manager API key. So if you got an error, you will see a link in here as well in the description of the error. Make sure you go to that link and enable the Secret Manager API. Now, if it already is enabled, just make sure you disable it and then enable it again. Wait a few minutes before you run the same command, and then you shouldn't face the error. Before we deploy our extensions, let's go back to our Firebase project and go into build and authentication. So you'll want to set up your project with authentication. So click a button that says get started around this area. I have already done that, and that's why you see a different view for me. But just click get started, and then after that, that just enables your application and your project with authentication so that the extension can use the authentication itself. Without this, you'll have problems when you actually start using the Moralis authentication extension. Now, after that, let's go to our settings for the project and go to service accounts. And we want to generate a new private key. So you can do it at the bottom right here. Once you've clicked this button, you will get a file that's downloaded, and then you can go to this link that I will share in the description below and add your file right here. That will give you the project ID, the email, and the private key that we will later on use in the terminal as well. Now let's go back to the terminal, and previously we installed the Moralis Streams extension. Now we're gonna install the Moralis Auth extension. So the same way, type Firebase ext install moralis/moralis-auth. Click yes to continue. Iowa US Central, Google Cloud Secret Manager, and then the same way, just go into your dashboard to copy the API key and paste that in. In this step, let's just add https://localhost and then continue. And here is where we need to add our project ID from this converter. So let's copy this one, go back and paste that in. Next step is to add the email as well. Choose Google Cloud Secret Manager once again, and then go back and take the API key and paste that in. So it's hidden this time as well as it was with the Moralis API key, but just make sure you actually paste that in and hit enter. And there we have it. Now we can deploy these extensions using Firebase deploy -- only extensions. This may take a few minutes. Just make sure you answer yes on the questions popping up. And once it gets started with the installation, you can go to Firebase and build, and then go to extensions. From here, you will be able to follow along with the blue circle around each extension. Once it's done, what we want to do is go to the Moralis Stream extension, and then to how this extension works, and we want to copy these rules right here. So make sure you copy those and go to build and Firestore database. And in here, what we want to do is to create a database. Now, if you haven't created one already, do that first and then go to rules. And once in rules, we want to add those right here. Now, I have already done that. That's why you don't see a change. And then once you have done this, make sure you hit publish. And then you will be able to track here and see the history, how it was in the beginning, and then what you changed to. Within our project, we also want to create an app, a web app. So go to project overview and click add app right here. And then you can choose web app. So I've called mine testing, and we will need to use the Firebase config that this app has later on. Just make sure you create this one, continue the 2 steps that you have to pass through, and then just leave it as it is, and we will come back to this. Okay, let's jump straight into the code, and inside the backend folder, I have installed a few dependencies, course.env, express, and Moralis, and you can do so as well. And then I've also added a .env file with our API key. Then inside the index.js file, I've required these dependencies that we just installed. So express and having our server on port 3001. Then Moralis, course, and also .env. So we can add our env variable like so and use this Moralis API key in this file. At the bottom, we use moralis.start and passing along our API key, and then also listening to our server that's up and running. So for this backend server, we're going to have 3 endpoints. The first one being the get streams endpoint. And what we basically do here is once the user connects their wallet, we're going to see if this user already has a stream. So we're getting back, I've limited this to 100 streams, but we don't have that many. So we're getting back all the streams that we have and then sending that to the frontend client. Then depending on if that wallet already has a stream or not, we're going to render different things. But let's look at the client side. Let's continue with the second endpoint. It's the /get transactions. And here we're using the get wallet token transfers endpoint. And we need to pass along the address and the chain ID and then get the response back. And basically we're getting the responses back of each and every token transfer that this wallet has from previously. And this is the endpoint right here. It's under the token API, get transfers, and then get ERC20 token transfers by a wallet. And it's very easy to follow along in the documentation. We're using these 2 parameters, address and chain ID, but you can use like from and to block if you want to specify the block numbers, or the from date and to date if you want to get transfers between specific dates. Now we don't need this in our application, so we're keeping those clean. We're just using these 2. Now let's go back to Visual Studio Code, and the third endpoint is the create stream. And this is what we do eventually if the user doesn't have a stream already. We need the address, and then we're setting up the stream right here. So we specify which chain this stream is supposed to be on, the description that shows in your Moralis dashboard. The address is what's showing in the Firebase database, so it's good to have the wallet address to easily distinct which is which. And then we need to have a webhook URL that we're gonna add to our stream to receive all the events. And this is what we can get from Firebase if we go to build and functions. So we have the Moralis Streams webhook. Just make sure you copy this right here and then paste that in. This endpoint doesn't really return anything. It just sets up the stream with the ID and then the address as well. Now there's a lot more happening in the frontend side. So in this project, I've called mine, instead of frontend, I've called mine folder for hosting. We have installed a few dependencies here as well. Besides the Next.js app, we have Firebase Firestore, we have the client Firebase EVM auth, the client Firebase utils, for example, and also Firebase and Axios. In our .env file, we have copied the config from our app that we created inside Firebase. So let's go back to Firebase to our project overview. Inside the app we created, settings, and this is what we want to copy right here. And make sure you add that in your env variable or file instead of upfront in your index.js file. Then we have the pages, we have index.js, which is our main page, and here we render the title itself and then the user. So if we have a user logged in, we want to display the wallet address, but we don't want to display the whole one. We want to slice it to format it a little bit better. And if not, we just want to show this this dash right here. Also, we want to show the login buttons. In our case, we're only gonna need MetaMask, so we're only showing one button, and then the sign out button once you are logged in. And when you are logged in, we're gonna show the get streams component. So let's go straight to that one. Under components, we have the get streams. And this is the component that gets rendered immediately when the user connects their wallet, which means immediately when the user connects their wallet, we're gonna do a get request to our server, which is on port 3001/get streams. And if we go back to that file, we can see what that does. Right here, it gets all the streams to see if the user already has a stream or not. And if the user has a stream, we set this to true. Otherwise, it remains as false. And if it is true, we're gonna render the listen to stream component. And if not, we're gonna render the get transactions component. So let's start with the get transactions component. And when we call and render this component, it's gonna do a get request to our server on /get transactions. And then it's gonna use the endpoint of the Moralis API, the get wallet token transfers endpoint, and get all the transfers for this wallet. And then we're gonna add those to our state variable and then render the results down here. Now, after we've done that, we also want to set up a stream for that address. So we're rendering this create stream component, and that basically creates the stream. So in here, we're just calling the get endpoint of our server, the create stream, and this was the one that didn't return anything. It just created the stream for this wallet right here. So once we've done this, we will eventually see all the upcoming transactions after this was set up in our application and also inside Firebase database. But if we have a stream already for the wallet that just connected, we run the listen to stream component, and here we are listening to this collection that we have in our Firebase. So remember that the tag we added in here that specifies what we will see in our Firebase database, that's how we are creating the collection. So inside this component, we take the address and we create this Moralis/transaction/address. So here's where we're using the address to create this collection and start listening to it for every change that is happening. So we can show the changes in our app as well. And that's what we are rendering here. So when something changes, we update this state variable once again, and then we map through that array and display the data for each and every transaction. At the same time, at the bottom of all the streams, we want to show the previous transactions. So that's why we're rendering this component once again at the bottom of this page. And that is it. So if I open up the terminal once again, and I have one for the backend and one for the frontend. So I have two terminals right here. Let's run this command to fire up our frontend client and then go to the other one and run this command to start our server as well. And then going back, we can see that we don't have a stream for this wallet. And inside the database, we don't have a collection here either. So let's go to our application and sign in by MetaMask. Let's sign this right here. And then there we have the transactions that have happened. So if we add a new transaction, so have in mind that this actually started the stream for us. So let's do another transfer as we did in the beginning of this video to our account 2 and confirm this one. So this is pending, and once it gets through, we're going to be able to see it right here and also in our database inside Firebase. So that's pretty cool to build with the Moralis API and Firebase. Now, because this is the first transaction of this new stream, we need to update and refresh this site. So we will be able to see the new transaction and also the previous ones. And the same goes inside Firebase. We reload this page and we can see that the collection is created inside Moralis, inside transactions with our wallet address. And then we can see each transaction for this wallet address. Now, let's say that I sign out from here, and then it goes by 2 months or 3 months and I do a bunch of transactions. Now this stream will be up and running all the time and it will track all the transactions. And the next time, 3 months later, when I log in once again, I will see the previous streams here as well. And if I sign out but connect with another wallet, then what will happen is that inside this Moralis transaction, we're gonna get a new collection for the new address, and we're going to be able to see that stream here as well as its own. So if I reload this page, we're going to see 2 streams if another wallet signs in, and 3 and 4 and so on. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This is a pretty cool dApp to build with Moralis and Firebase and to completely automate things with streams. Make sure you hit the like button and comment below if you have any questions. I will make sure to answer them all, and I will share the valuable links below as well.